What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Colton, and today we are looking at Week 6 NFL picks. Got a good slate on tap. Let's first take a look back at week number 5. Quick overview of the week. Did get pretty lucky in that Vikings-Browns game, a late touchdown by Carson Wentz. My lock of the week hit again. We are now 4-1 in locks as the Saints defeated the Giants. Panthers had a nice comeback. The Raiders was probably the worst pick of the week. They got absolutely slaughtered in Indianapolis. Broncos, Cowboys, Texans all correct. The Seahawks, a heartbreaker. They looked really great, but came up short. Titans with the improbable comeback. Patriots with the big upset on Sunday Night Football. Didn't think they were going to win the game outright, but we did have them plus 7.5. And then the Chiefs kind of threw that game away against Jacksonville. So overall, we were looking at a 9-5 week. Pretty solid. Brings me now to 46-32 on the season. So a nice 14 games over 500. 4-1 in locks, which is great. And then 346 and 269 all time with an all-time locks record of 25, 15, and 1. So let's move on to week number 6. As you can see here, I did fall into the trap of taking the Eagles on Thursday Night Football. I do really like Jackson Dart, but I just didn't think he was working with too much there on Thursday night. Eagles coming off a loss. I just felt like I was just had to take the Eagles, and boy was I wrong there. The Giants had an excellent showing. Cam Scatabo going off 3 touchdowns. Jackson Dart, of course, looked great. So props to the Giants. They get their second win of the season. Let's move into the rest of the slate. We start in London. Early game, Broncos and the Jets. Jets are getting 7.5 at home. I think this is a good spot for the Jets to be very competitive in this game. They're 0-5. They're the lone winless team. Obviously, no undefeated teams left and just the one winless team. Pretty early in the season for that statement to be true. Broncos are coming off a massive win against the Eagles. They looked very impressive in that second half, particularly the fourth quarter where Bo Nix really excelled. I do think this Broncos team is going to continue to get better. I just think this is a tough spot going across the pond over into London against a team that is desperate just to show some fight, and I think they will do that here. I think the Broncos do escape with a victory, but I really think this is going to be like a 24-20 type game. I like Justin Fields anytime touchdown rushing. I think look at his rushing props as well. I think he's going to be running quite a bit as he usually does. I am going to take the Jets to cover in London and just keep that game scrappy. All right, the one game I did switch very late on, I have switched to the Arizona Cardinals plus 6.5. I was originally going to lay the touchdown with the Colts, but the Cardinals do feel like they are a better road team right now. They've been really struggling at home. They've lost 3 consecutive weeks on game-winning field goals. I just think they're going to get a little less unlucky. I mean, a lot of things were self-inflicted in those 3 straight losses, but I think the Marvin Harrison connection is starting to develop just a little bit, and I think the Colts are still laying a lot of points every week now after their good start to the season, so I'm going to take a stab with the Cardinals. Still think I'm leaning to the Colts to win outright, but I think the Cardinals, similarly to the Jets, will make this thing very close. All right, next up we got the Chargers and the Dolphins. Now, there are a handful of favorites that I like this week that are very sketchy, and this is one of them. Chargers minus 4.5. Now, the Dolphins have not been good. Their defense is not great. Their offensive line is not great. Can't really run the ball. And yet I'm still a little worried with how the Chargers have looked the past 2 weeks. They lose to the Giants in Jackson Dart's debut, and then they come out pretty flat against the Commanders. They jumped off to a 10-0 lead, but after that, they really struggled. Amari Hampton is on IR. Defense is not playing as good as it was last year. I'm just going to trust in Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh to figure it out against a much inferior Dolphins team. This is a tough trip across the country. It's going to be hot, but I just think 4.5 is too low of a number to pass on taking the Chargers. It's definitely going to be a public pick. It's definitely going to be argued as a square pick perhaps, but I don't know. I'm just not willing to take the Dolphins at that short of a number with how inconsistent and shaky that defense has been. All right, I would call this another shaky favorite here, minus 4.5 at home. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the Cleveland Browns, but I think I have to do it. I think I have to do it again because I don't trust Dylan Gabriel off a long road trip to London. I think coming back now to a very difficult road environment in Pittsburgh. The Steelers are off a bye. Mike Tomlin's stats off a bye are great. Since 2020, I think they're 5-0 straight up. And this is a game that I think the Browns haven't won in Pittsburgh in like 20-something tries. Like, it's been so long. I have concerns about the Steelers. I don't really trust their offense to be consistent, but I think as long as they run the ball, find some success running the ball, get DK some shots down the field. Again, don't feel great about it, but I'm just not willing to take the points with the Browns. Quinshon Judkins has looked great. I expect another pretty solid week out of him. The Steelers' defense hasn't been as solid as they should be, so we'll see. It's also interesting. The Ravens are still, I think, favorites to win that division or close to it, and they're, of course, 1-4 with no Lamar Jackson again. So it's interesting. The Steelers could have a 4-game lead or something on the Ravens. So just something interesting to look out for. If you like the Steelers to win the division, now might be the time because, I mean, they could have a sizable lead with the Ravens continuing to go with Cooper Rush. All right, give me another favorite here. Cowboys -3.5 on the road in Carolina. The Panthers were very impressive against the Dolphins. They had a pretty complete, solid football game. After falling behind 17-0, they came roaring back and won that game. Was on the Panthers in that spot. Here, I'm going to go back to the Cowboys. The Cowboys are playing some pretty good football. Dak Prescott is playing at like an MVP level. I know that might sound crazy, but you look at some of his advanced numbers and what he's working with right now, I think it's really impressive. And no CeeDee Lamb, of course. I'm looking at Jake Ferguson, anytime touchdown again, and his props. I think it continues to just be a must-start in fantasy across all formats. He is a dog. I think he will get 7+ targets in this one. And I think the Cowboys will find a lot of success through the air. And give me the Cowboys again to get to 3-2-1. All right, moving along, I am going to take my Seattle Seahawks -1.5 in Jacksonville. The Seahawks played a fantastic game against Tampa Bay offensively. They moved the ball. Sam Darnold looked perfect outside of that one late-game interception that was ill-timed, but offensive line is playing so much better than in years past. The defense is still banged up. That is my main concern here. No Devin Witherspoon, no Julian Love. They do get DeMarcus Lawrence back, so some more support on the D-line. Of course, I was really looking at Witherspoon and Love this week. I really was hoping they would return. Reek Woolen is also, I believe, ruled out already. That sucks. They are just really lacking in the back end. That's my only concern about this game is Trevor Lawrence through the air. Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, Parker Washington looks pretty good. Diami Brown's back. So the Jaguars have a lot of weapons, but I'm going to trust in Mike McDonald on the road. Is, I think, 9-1 now as a Seahawks head coach. They dominate on the road, which is weird compared to old Seahawks teams that dominated at home. The 1 o'clock start, they've been tremendous in these games. I look for that to continue here. The Jaguars are coming off a very impressive win against the Chiefs. Hats off to them. They're going to be a pretty good football team, but I think this is a great spot for the Seahawks to bounce back from their loss and get to 4-2. That line also already flipped. I think the Seahawks are now +1.5, so I know that is another favorite, but for the purposes of this, but I think they are flipped. I think you can get them at +1.5 now. So let's move on to the Rams and the Ravens, and another disgusting number I just have to lay with the Rams. I mean, this is kind of, I feel like I'm just going to be with the public on a lot of these games, which is always sketchy with big favorites, particularly on the road. But how can I take Cooper Rush and the Ravens right now? They have been lifeless. The defense has been atrocious. What is really motivating me here to take the Ravens? There's really nothing. So I just have to go to the Rams. They're coming off a disappointing Thursday Night Football loss against the Niners. They have the 10 days to prepare. I don't have much to say on this one. You just got to take -7.5. I think Puka Nacua absolutely shreds this Ravens defense, and they win by maybe not like last week. The Ravens get absolutely dominated. I think maybe they fight a little bit more, but I still think the Rams can win this game 10 points, 14 points, something along those lines. So give me the Rams on the road, albeit a bit sketchy. All right, here's finally a dog we're taking. The Saints +3.5 at home. The Saints were very good to me last week. I used them not only as my lock, but in my survivor pool. I took the Saints over the Giants. Felt really good about that one after they won, because that was when they were down 14-3. I was like, what am I doing? I'm an idiot. But they came back, won that game. Spencer Rattler gets his first career win. I think he wins again here at home. Patriots looked very impressive in that AFC East battle in Buffalo. I think the Patriots are going to be much improved. I said that at the beginning of the season, but I think this is a tough spot, very much of a trap spot here after that win, going into a difficult place to play. And again, Spencer Rattler he's growing on me week to week. He really has shown a lot of fight, and he's really an underrated quarterback right now, as crazy as that might sound. I think he's playing very good football. I'm looking at a Juwan Johnson anytime touchdown, maybe even a 2-touchdown score. I think I'm going to get a little crazy in this one with him. I think he didn't get into the end zone last week. I think he is a prime candidate to reach pay dirt this week. So give me the Saints +3.5 at home. I do think they win this game outright against the New England Patriots. All right, the time has arrived to finally take the Raiders, I think, here -4.5. Titans get breakthrough and get that win. Good for them. I have been on the Titans almost every week of the season, as crazy as that is. I think week 1 might have been the only time I was off them. I can't even remember. I've been on the Titans a lot since the beginning of last year. I've said that in almost every show. But this is the time to bet the Raiders. I think the Raiders this is the ultimate buy low spot. This was a team that had some buzz coming into this season. They have, of course, fell flat. Geno Smith has been brutal. Ashton Genty finally getting going, but he had a slow start. Brock Bowers has been hurt. There's a lot of things going on with this Raiders team, but I think this is a good spot to save their season, to be honest. I mean, 1-5, losing to the Titans, if they would fall to 1-5 this week, that might be the final straw for the Raiders this season. But I think they do win this game. I think they control time of possession. I think they move the ball effectively on this Titans defense, and I think they can win this game by 10-17, and the Raiders can finally exhale as they are enduring quite the brutal start to the season post that Week 1 Patriots game. Another one that probably is a bit of a trap because it feels easy to take the Bucs -2.5 at home, but I'm going to do it anyway. No Brock Purdy again for the Niners. Mac Jones surprised the hell out of me when he beat the Rams on Thursday Night Football. Credit there. But I still think this Niners team is just going to not be able to keep this up. They have an amazing head coach that will keep them in football games, but what I saw Baker Mayfield do last week, Emeka Egbuka is just an absolute dog. Him and JSN battling last week was so fun to watch. The ending, of course, wasn't so fun for me, but he had an amazing game. I think he's going to be pretty easily the Rookie of the Year at this if he keeps this pace up. I'm just not going to count out Baker Mayfield at home. I would feel much better if this game is close in the fourth quarter, being on Baker's side the way he is playing right now. He is truly an MVP candidate with how he's playing through the first 5 weeks of the season, and I don't think that slows down in Week 6 against the banged-up Niners. Finally, taking another underdog here, I'm going to take 14.5 with the Cincinnati Bengals. The Packers really don't feel like a team that will blow somebody out right now. The Bengals are bad. They are getting Joe Flacco. I think Joe Flacco will provide that 1 to 2 game spark for Cincinnati. I don't think they're going to come close to winning this game per se. I'm probably going to still take the Packers as my survivor pick, but I do think this is a spot where the Bengals will hang around, back door will be open, and they'll sneak in the cover. Packers are off a bye, which is moderately concerning, but other than that, I think the Bengals will. I think this is good news for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. If the Bengals can give Joe Flacco any sort of time, which he obviously desperately needs. He's not a mobile quarterback, even in his prime, no mind at 40 years old or whatever. They need to hold up a little bit. They can't let Micah Parsons and company eat him alive, but if they hold up a little bit, I think they will find some success. Maybe Chase Brown has one of his better days. I'm probably benching him in certain fantasy leagues, depending on what your bench looks like, because I am that concerned about him. But this hopefully is a spot for him to start showing some signs of life, because he is a really good back. The Bengals have just been atrocious elsewhere. So give me the Bengals plus 14.5. Of course, you're going to feel kind of gross about it taking Cincinnati and Lambeau, but I think they do avoid the absolute blowout here. All right, this is probably the biggest public bet of the week, and I was really trying to find it in me to take the Chiefs, but I just think the Lions are going to win this game. I think the Lions are one of the top 3 teams in football right now after, they lost Week 1, which I thought they were going to lose Week 1 and maybe even mix in another loss there. I think I was right and wrong in a way about how it would take a little bit of time for the new coordinators, but it has not taken a lot of time. They are already looking like they're firing on all cylinders. Look like the best team in that division. I think in Kansas City is tough. Desperate Chiefs team, which is scary. 2-3 with Patrick Mahomes right now is crazy, and predicting them to go in 2-4 is wild. But I'm going to do it just because I'm going to not pay attention to how the public is slamming the Lions right now. They're all over the Lions. I'm just going to look at this football game, and I think the Lions are the better team right now. And I think they go into Kansas City and hand the Chiefs another crushing loss before they get Rashee Rice back. All right, then we get the Bills and the Falcons on Monday Night Football. I'm telling you, this is a dangerous week because I am on a lot of sketchy sides. And another one is the Bills. The Falcons are coming off a bye week, getting 3.5 at home. I am going to take the Bills, mainly because of the bounce back spot. I think coming out and losing to the Patriots at home is really going to galvanize this team. I think no loss is ever truly good for a team, but probably kind of gets the Bills woken up here and realizing that they still, put their best effort forth every week, and I think they will do that in Atlanta. James Cook, look for him to get into the end zone here, and I think they have a good day running the ball, and I think Josh Allen has a nice bounce back game after a pretty tough week number 5. You see 87% have picked the Bills here. Very scary, but going to take them anyway. Then the second part of this Monday night doubleheader here, we got the Bears at the Commanders. I'm going to take the Bears plus 4.5. I liked what I saw out of the Bears when I saw them in person in Vegas. I think they will begin to be this team that really stays in games and scraps and fights and claws. And this is a spot that, after last year too, how they lost the Commanders in the Hail Mary, I think this is a nice little revenge spot. I think that's still fresh in some of their minds. And I think Ben Johnson gets these guys ready to go off the bye week. I think they actually win this game, but take the 4.5. Look for Dunze to continue his hot start. I think he gets into the end zone again and take his overs. I think the Commanders' defense is still very susceptible, so Give me the Bears plus 4.5 to round out week number 6. And I wasn't going to do this for my lock of the week. I am 4-1 in locks of the week, so we're trying to keep up that hot streak. Only the Texans have let me down so far in week 3 against the Jaguars. That's my only lock miss so far. And I was going to take the Seahawks, to be honest, but their defense being banged up, I understand that's a little bit scary. So I'm actually going to go with the Bears, the game we just talked about, plus 4.5 as my lock. I just really like this spot for them getting over a field goal. So give me the Chicago Bears as my lock of the week. That's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe on the video. Let me know how you think week 6 is going to shake out. I know there were some square picks in there, some very shaky, almost obvious feeling picks, but going with the gut, as always, 98.6 percentile there. Hoping to keep it up. I will see you guys all very soon. Thank you so much.